So today I have a couple of books I want to recommend. And to give them some context, I have, if you like this book, then I think you should read this book. So we've got some examples to tie it in and help to determine if it's a book you'd be interested in. Because I know I always like getting recommendations of books based on what I already like. So I know I like the vibe of this book, so that means I'll like this other book. And it helps kind of give me the sense of what type of book I'm getting into and kind of, if I'm in the vibe of this book, but I want to read a new one, it gives me a good, here's a new one with that same vibe. So that's always a fun way to try out new books. And I'm going to try some editing magic and see if this works. Be a little TikTok-y? I don't know. If you couldn't tell, I'm not somebody who uses TikTok. It's a miracle I'm on YouTube, so this should be fun. Alright, so guess we'll start with one that I've talked about on the channel. So if you like Good Omens and that sort of witty, fun, satirical sort of vibe and that sort of taking something you sort of understand and twisting it, I think you should read Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. So this book is basically the best synopsis I can give for it is if the Scooby-Doo gang grew up and started battling eldritch horrors. It's really fun. And so if you enjoy like the Scooby-Doo kind of mystery, but also like Lovecraftian horrors, it's a really good book. And the author, Edgar Cantero, writes with such a great, witty, silly, sarcastic kind of tone. And so it's very similar to the Good Omens tone and that sort of thing. But it's with eldritch horrors. And again, it is blatantly this like a nod to the Scooby-Doo gang because there's 4 kids and a dog, and it's perfectly done, but it's like so much deeper than that. So basically the kids could, on the cover you've got the 4 kids, and they all fit into the same archetypes as from the Scooby-Doo gang. And apparently, so I'll give a brief synopsis of the book. So when they were teenagers, they would all meet up, sort of like at a summer camp, or they all summered at a lake kind of thing, and they would do kid sleuth mystery things in the same, like, it was Mr. Jenkins in a costume, kind of like, and that's what it was. But when they're doing one, they accidentally like stumble upon an eldritch horror, and it sort of haunts them for years. So then like 10 years down the line, I think, they all come back together to actually solve what this eldritch horror was. And like, as weird as that sounds, the way it's written is so funny, and it's so good. So I would recommend wholeheartedly Meddling Kids. So for my next recommendation, if you like the Hunger Games series, and I know there's the new one out now, so if you're into the Hunger Games series and looking for something similar, I would recommend the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. It's very similar to Hunger Games, and it's an oppressed society with different factions, and they're told to hate each other rather than the government that is actually suppressing them. And the main character is part of the Reds, which all the different factions are different color coded, and the Reds live on Mars and do mining, and they think they're helping get supplies and helping develop the city. And the main character finds out that it's already been developed. The rich are rich and getting richer off of the other classes, and so they rise up and revolt and try to take back their own society. And so it's really good. It's a very similar feel to Hunger Games, but with it's more sci-fi fantasy dystopian than strictly fantasy, and it's so good. And I looked up recently, it's actually a 7-book series. I had no idea. I read the first one, I loved it. I got the second one, and I thought there were 2, maybe 3, but I just looked it up to get more info for this review, and it's a 7-book series, so it's gonna be a really good series to get into. See, but on the book it says trilogy, so it started off as a trilogy. It started off as a trilogy. It came out in 2014, and the 7th book actually was only published this year, so hopefully I can be forgiven for not knowing it was a 7-book series. But again, I read through it and it was so good, and I'm like, I need the next one. So it's a very fast-paced sci-fi fantasy uprising kind of feel. So if you're in the mood for more Hunger Games type books, I would recommend the Red Rising series. And then for my final recommendation, if you like the Harry Potter series, I don't have my original books. I gave them away and I'm not going to be buying more. This is just a notebook, but for for the bit I'm doing. If you grew up loving the Harry Potter series, but obviously it's hard to stay in love with the Harry Potter series right now, but if you grew up loving the Harry Potter series, I would recommend the Rivers of London series. It was also called Midnight Riot in the US. It's very British fantasy murder mystery kind of series. And this one has 10 books in the series. I read it a very long time ago, but I remember loving it and actually just recently picked up a copy again and went, okay, I need to reread these. And so it's set, the main character, at least in Rivers of London, is a cop that starts, and it's like his job is a little bit boring, and then he finds out that he can speak to the dead. So like he can communicate with ghosts. And so he gets partnered up with another detective that is actually looking into like mystical and uncanny kind of murders. And so they go on this whole murder mystery adventure through London. And it's very British, it's very fantasy, but it's sort of a good upgrade from the Harry Potter series that was, fantasy boarding school. This is fantasy cops and a lot of paranormal and very interesting kind of murder mystery. So like, it's not your nitty gritty kind of murder mystery. It's a little bit more that, it's not quite all the way to cozy murder mystery, but it's a nice middle ground with a lot of magic, that sort of feel to the murder mystery. So it's elevated above murder mystery, and it's fantasy London and a really good series. So like I said, there's 10 books. I haven't read all of them yet. I think I read the first 3 a while ago, I think like back in college. So I definitely have to go in and reread them, but I would definitely recommend. If you grew up loving the Harry Potter series, I think the Rivers of London series would be a really great one to get into now, because it's a little bit more mature. It's got that murder mystery. It's urban fantasy. It's really fun. So those are my recommendations. Let me know if you guys have read any of these, what you think, or if there's other books that you would recommend from these. Let me know what you think. And as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day.